Hey everyone, Brian Zane here with my first ever pay-per-view predictions video for an All Elite Wrestling show, that being this Saturday's All Out, taking place at the Sears Center in the greater Chicago, Illinois area. Lots of hype surrounding this show. This is going to be the last pay-per-view before AEW goes live Wednesday nights on TNT in direct competition with NXT over on the USA Network. But enough about the Wednesday Night War for now. Let's get right to the matches. One of the first pre-show matches is going to be Private Party taking on Angelico and Jack Evans. This one is going to be an insane matchup just right off the bat because, if you're familiar with at all with any of these four guys, you know there's going to be a lot of high flying, lots of fast action. Private Party's been making a big name for themselves in the East Coast, House of Glory and whatnot, and they also had a big showing at Fight for the Fallen as well. I think they're going to carry that momentum on into this match. Of course, Angelico and Jack Evans, their history and their resume speaks for itself. They've been definitely bringing the aerial attacks, so to speak, ever since their first match for AEW at Double or Nothing. Relatively new tag team as well. I think that in the end, Private Party is going to pick up the win in this matchup here, carrying over the momentum they got from Fight for the Fallen and all the buzz around them from there. It's going to be a really exciting, high-flying matchup, but ultimately I believe that Private Party is going to win. Much like at Double or Nothing back in Vegas, the pre-show for All Out will feature a casino battle royal, and this time the ladies are getting a turn. The winner of this match will receive a shot at the inaugural AEW Women's Championship, and that match is going to happen on their TV debut on October 2nd. So the real interesting thing about this match, though, is that it's a 21-woman match, but so far only about a dozen or so ladies are confirmed. Everything else is to be determined, to be announced. And of those names that we know, there's Brandy Rhodes, there's Eva Lise, there's Jazz, Teal Piper, the daughter of Roddy Piper, who I've never seen wrestle or didn't know she was wrestling before this, if at all. So curious to see how she's going to perform. Nyla Rose, of course, is going to be a part of it as well. Britt Baker. Lots of names that we do know, but I think what's intriguing is the ladies we don't know. Like, are they going to play spoiler? Is someone that we don't know yet going to be winning this? It's really tough to call at this point. I mean, if it's going to be someone who's established and who's already announced, my pick is going to be Nyla Rose. But right now I'm 50-50 between her or somebody who we don't know yet. That's kind of like a surprise victory. Kind of a nice way to kind of close out the pre-show. But, my money's going to be on Nyla Rose for this one. In a match that was made official just this week, 6-man tag action as SCU take on two boys and their dinosaur. That's Marco Stunt, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus. I don't know how I feel about Marco being a part of Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus' team. I feel that those two are fine on their own. That package works. I feel that Marco and Jungle Boy being on the same team together, they kind of cancel each other out. They're both very talented, high-flying, lightweight wrestlers. And I think that when you have them there together, I think one kind of negates the other. That's just my thoughts on it. I think Marco especially can be a kind of a character on his own, doing his own thing. I don't know if this is permanent or not. I hope that's not the case. I think Marco can accomplish a lot on his own, not necessarily glomming on to Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. I think it'll be a fine enough match. Ultimately, though, I think that SCU will pick up the win because it's SCU, and they are one of the more dominant groups, of course, kind of a satellite members of the Elite. They're in the intro for being the Elite, so I imagine they're part of that group, obviously. So yeah, SCU is going to win here. Joshi action up next as Riho takes on Hikaru Shida in singles action. This one I get really high hopes for because with the exception of that tag team match we saw at Fight for the Fallen in the pre-show that involved Britt Baker and B. Priestley, I think that the Joshi ladies, by and large, have really impressed and really have some of the matches of the night, honestly, across the pay-per-views they've had since Double or Nothing. I think this will be no exception. I think these two are going to have a great matchup here. Ultimately, I believe that Riho is going to be the one to pick up the win. I think that of the two, she has the most momentum. Last we saw Hikaru was at Double or Nothing. We didn't see her at the other two shows leading up to this. But Riho, I think, has been the constant presence. I think she's been very impressive so far, so I believe she's going to win. It's the Cracker Barrel Clash as Joey Janela, Darby Allin, and Jimmy Havoc wage war in a triple threat match. Not sure if the Cracker Barrel Clash name is going to mean some new rules for this triple threat or it's just the fact that it's sponsored. Will we see the barrel in action? We did see it last year at All In the Chicago street fight between Janela and Hangman Page, so time will tell with that one. With those three guys, I'm sure a barrel or two will be involved. I kind of feel bad for Jimmy Havoc right now because he's been involved in a lot of multi-man matches, hasn't had a whole lot of time to shine specifically on him. He's had some moments of brilliance, but I think that of all these multi-mans he's been in, the focus has not been on him so much as it has been everyone else. I believe that he will eventually get his time to shine, but right now he's kind of like a utility player. He's kind of a tertiary character in all these multi-mans. I think that being said, though, that Darby Allin is going to be the one to win this matchup here, and I believe that, like I've said with other people in this review, that momentum is key here. Since Darby broke onto the scene in that time limit draw with Cody back at Fyter Fest, and then his performance in the six-man tag team match at Fight for the Fallen, I think the momentum's on him, and I think it's going to be a big moment when he wins this matchup. The Best Friends take on the Dark Order. That's Evil Uno and Stu Grayson in tag team action, where the winning team will get a first-round bye in the forthcoming AEW Tag Team Championship Tournament. Not much for me to say about this one. It's been pretty straightforward the way they've been building this since Double or Nothing when the Dark Order first debuted, jumping the Best Friends after their matchup, and we've been seeing them kind of like stay a lingering presence amongst the Best Friends ever since. The way I see it is, if you've got a kind of a spooky gimmick like you have with the Dark Order, you kind of have to have them get over right away. It kind of minimizes their impact, their oomph as it were, if they lose this first match right out the gate. So I do believe the Dark Order are going to win here. The Best Friends will not be hurt by this. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if we see these guys have a rematch in the tournament later on. In what's sure to be an emotional roller coaster of a match, Cody takes on his former best friend turned bitter rival, Shawn Spears, the former Ty Dillinger, and we all saw what happened at Fyter Fest a couple of months ago when Shawn cracked Cody in the head with a steel chair, resulting in an ironic 10 stitches in the back of Cody's head. And so that's been this, the crux, or the beginning, I should say, of what's become a very deeply personal feud. Shawn was offended that Cody called him a good hand. He was very offended by that statement, made him feel lesser than after all they've been through, which is what made Shawn react the way he did. And of course, Shawn has employed Tully Blanchard, the former Horseman, as his advisor for the match. The story there being that Tully knows the Rhodes family inside out because he wrestled Dusty 150 some odd times. And so the question is, who's going to be in Cody's corner? Who's going to be his second in this matchup? My money's on Dustin Rhodes, his older brother, since this match is so based on family history and friends that are like family and the past and all that stuff. I think there's no better person to be in Cody's corner than his older brother Dustin, who's really not doing anything right now that I can think of in the show. So him being there makes a whole lot of sense. As far as who's going to win the match, my money's on Cody, simply on the basis of it's Cody, nothing against him. I just think that that's the position he's put himself in now, where he's kind of like a conquering hero in a lot of ways. I think that this is how they're going to wrap this up, is with Cody getting the big emotional win over Shawn Spears here. This one's sure to be a barn burner, folks. Ladder match for the AAA World Tag Team Championships as the Lucha Brothers, Penta and Rey Fenix, defend against Matt and Nick, the Young Bucks. These two teams have been trading the belts back and forth over the last several months in Mexico. This is presumably the blow-off to that feud, at least in America for the time being. And yeah, these two in a ladder match just screams match of the night. These two are just going to, these two teams will just leave all of it on the line. I've seen what Lucha Brothers can do with ladders. I've seen what the Young Bucks can do with ladders. And these two teams together, I mean, my mouth is kind of watering thinking about how crazy that match is going to be. Probably a few more Canadian destroyers for my liking, but you know what? I'll take the good with the bad. That being said, who I think is going to win this one, I think that the Lucha Brothers are going to hold on to the belts here. I think they're going to win this matchup. The Young Bucks have been on a roll. They've won pretty much all their matches since AEW started. This one, I think they're going to take a bit of a back seat here for the Lucha Brothers, but it's going to be a close one for sure. I think that the Lucha Brothers will retain the championships and maybe clear a path for the Young Bucks for when the new AEW Tag Team Championships come around. I presume there might be the inaugural Tag Team Champions when that happens. So yeah, Lucha Bros, they're my pick to win. Well, this next match has seen some twists and turns, hasn't it? At the end of Double or Nothing back in May, Jon Moxley debuted for AEW to the delight of many, and he attacked Kenny Omega at the end of the show, hitting him with a move and throwing him off the giant pile of chips on the side of the stage, setting up their inevitable encounter at All Out. However, it was just announced last week that Moxley is pulled out of the show due to the return of his MRSA infection in his arm, and so he is battling that now, so wish him speedy recovery. Kenny Omega did not have so many nice words for Moxley, and whether or not the words were a shoot or a work or a little bit of both, maybe a woot, is up to you, because the promo he cut on Moxley after learning of his pulling out of All Out had a lot of fire to it, let's just say. Be that as it may, Omega's opponent now is Pac, the former Cruiserweight Champion Neville, finally making his AEW debut. Of course, he was supposed to be a part of Double or Nothing against Adam Page, but that match fell apart for various political reasons. And the rumor mill is that this match with Pac and Kenny Omega was supposed to be the actual AEW Championship match that we are not getting in favor of the other matches I'll get to in a minute. So yeah, Pac and Omega, again, this one's just going to be on paper off the charts crazy, because I've loved the stuff that Pac was doing by the end of his run, his heel turn in WWE. I haven't seen too much of his Dragon Gate stuff since he left. Kenny Omega is Kenny Omega. He is more often than not very excellent in the ring. So I think these two are going to have quite the dream match here. Ultimately, I think Kenny Omega is going to win. I think Pac just kind of waltzing in here, swooping in, taking Moxley's spot in place of an injury. It's wonderful that he's there. It's a great replacement opponent. I just don't think he's going to be the one to win this matchup here. Finally, it's a match that was made official all the way back at Double or Nothing when Hangman Page won the Casino Battle Royale and Chris Jericho beat Kenny Omega in that show's main event. These two now, Hangman Page and Chris Jericho, will do battle to see who's the first AEW World Champion. I think the match is going to be great, but like I've been saying in my past couple of AEW reviews, I've not been really in love with the build for this match, in particular Hangman Page. I don't think he's been booked as the strong, conquering babyface he needs to be in order to really be bought as a convincing challenger to Chris Jericho, who's really been on fire for the last several months, and I don't think anything's changing with that. I think that, I will say, the Road to All Out interview with JR and Adam Page probably did more for me to convince me that Page was worthy of fighting Chris Jericho than his previous matches at Fyter Fest and Fight for the Fallen, in a huge way. I think that one thing he said in that interview was, like, if I lose this match, he basically said he was done, or he wasn't going to fight for it might be his last chance. He won't be fighting for the championship again. So it makes me think, well, shit, like if he does that, then he has to win, doesn't he? So I'm still kind of torn about this because, the easy money's on Chris Jericho, because if you're going to start your TV program with a bang, you do it with the established veteran in Chris Jericho as your champion. That makes a lot of sense to me and a lot of other people. But Adam Page, there's still something about that makes me think he's going to pull out the victory here. It's really a coin flip. Ultimately, I think Jericho is going to be the one to win this one. I don't think it's going to be Adam Page's one and only chance at a world championship, not by a long shot. So I think that Jericho is going to be that one to win it. I think they do need to work more on building Page up in the ring. That promo that not everyone's going to see from the Road to All Out, that's one thing. And that, like I said, it was probably the strongest bit of character building for Page going into this particular matchup. But I think he needs to do more convincing in the in-ring aspect and really win the crowd over that way. Because right now, it's not been perfect, let's just say, for Page. But yeah, my money's on Jericho. And of course, the big question on everyone's mind is, will CM Punk appear at All Out? Of course, the show is taking place in the Chicago area, his hometown, and he's been a part of StarCast all week, which, even though they'll say up and down it's not an AEW production, the fact that it's only been involved with AEW shows makes me question it. But as far as whether or not Punk's going to show up at All Out, my prediction, and this goes against every fiber in my body, I think he is going to be part of that show. I've kind of given up on seeing a surprise CM Punk return to wrestling for a long time, but there's something about this that makes me think it just might happen. Similar to how Double or Nothing ended with Moxley's debut, what better way to have one final wow moment at the end of All Out and have CM Punk show up in his hometown to one of the biggest ovations you'll ever hear, showing up there, and that he leaves you on that kind of cliffhanger going into their TV debut in early October. That's kind of my fantasy booking of how it's going to go down. I'm sure a lot of people are in agreement with me. Let me know what you think. Do you think Punk is going to actually show up at All Out? Let me know in the poll right here. And let me know what you think is going to happen for the rest of the match results for this show in the comments section below. I'll see you on the other side over the weekend when I give you my All Out review. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.